Can an Indian passport proves your citizenship? The answer is not as straightforward as people would think. Recently, the Ministry of External Affairs has clarified that passport is just a travel document, not a conclusive proof of Indian citizenship. So the biggest question that comes is what actually proves that you are an Indian citizen? What is the constitutional mandate about it? What are the different legal provisions that that Parliament has built over the last 50 to 60 years? What are the important major court rulings related to the citizenship and its status, and how this all issue today creates uncertainty in the mind of people of India, that how to prove whether they are citizen of India or not. So let us try to understand this entire topic in more detail. Now, the reason behind this entire controversy was due to the recent statement given by the Ministry of External Affairs on the 14th Passport Seva Divas that was celebrated yesterday. In this particular statement, MEA has clarified that passport is primarily a travel document. Just if an individual hold an Indian passport, it cannot be 100% said that he or she is an Indian citizen. It is not a standalone proof of citizenship, and this has triggered widespread debate, and that is understandable, because imagine that if you are entering any other country of the world holding Indian passport, basically you are saying to that country's immigration department that you are a citizen of India, and it is on that basis you can be allowed entry inside. But you travel hundreds of countries across the world showing your passport as a proof of Indian citizenship, but when you enter India, government of India states that it does not prove your citizenship. So passport is now been seen as authoritative identity across the entire world as a proof of citizenship, but now MEA's statement has put this entire issue for further debate. It reflects the existing legal position and problems that we have in India. Now, as far as the citizenship in India is concerned, it is basically a legal status, and a person, when he is citizen of a particular state, particular nation, it basically explains what kind of legal constitutional relationship that individual will have with the state, what kind of rights, responsibilities, duties he will have as a citizens of that state. And also that's why between article 5 to 11 of constitution, a clear explanation is given that how can one be a citizenship, how can one be granted a citizenship. Plus, government of India also has come up with Citizenship Act 1955, and on this basis Indian citizenship in India can be granted on the four bases, that is by birth, by descent, by registration, and by naturalization, and this exists independently of document. Now let us try to understand briefly that how all of these provisions working. So first is the simple provision that if anyone is being born in India, he can get citizenship or she can get citizenship on the basis of birth. But here also we have three different provisions, as you can see, based on whether person is being born between 1950 to 1987, between 1987 to 2003, and then after 2003. So for example, if you look at the latest changes that are made, any person who is born, any child who is born after 2003, citizenship is accorded if only either parent is a citizen at the time of the birth of the child and other is not an illegal migrant. That means even a person who is a citizen of India is marrying someone who is an illegal migrant, their child would not be conferred Indian citizenship on the basis of birth. That is the changes government has made. Second is citizenship by descent. That means anyone who was born outside of India, who was living outside of India, but parents, grandparents were of the Indian origin, then they might be granted citizenship. And third is citizenship by registration, that is through marriage with Indian citizen or ancestry. Then you have citizenship by naturalization, who is not an illegal immigrant, lived in India for 12 years continuously, before 12 months before continuously applying as such. Now, the most important is the waiver clause. Government of India has clearly established that all of these clauses can be waived for certain individual if that individual has rendered distinguished service in various spheres of life, such as science, philosophy, art, literature, world peace, or human progress. So if anyone has contributed in these spheres significantly, has made a stellar contribution, in that case they can be granted and conferred Indian citizenship. And the best example of this we can see is in the case of Dalai Lama, as well as Adnan Sami, who was a Pakistani singer but got Indian citizenship because of his contribution in the field of art, music, etc. Now, citizenship is not one document, because in India we cannot have a single document saying that because I have this document I am a legal citizen of India itself. Document just provides supporting evidences. It is the circumstances in which the person might have been born that matters most to determine his citizenship. Parentage may also becomes relevant many times, and court examine facts case by case basis if there is some dispute related to his status. Now, if you look at the recent 2020 reply of Ministry of Home Affairs in Parliament, government clearly stated that several documents which were earlier used to provide proof of evidence is no longer considered as proof of evidence. For example, Aadhaar is simply a proof of residency, not a citizenship. Now, this is also understandable from the fact that Aadhaar is not only granted to Indian citizens, it is also granted to foreigners who are residing in India for long duration of time, either for conducting business, either due to their marriage with Indian citizens, or even if they're studying in the Indian universities as such. PAN is not proof of citizenship. That also makes sense because again, PAN card be given to anyone who is running businesses in India, who might run business in India and might need this document for the tax purposes. So it is not only given to Indian citizens. So Aadhaar, PAN, passport, now as we have discussed, MEA has stated that this is only a travel document, not necessarily explains the relation of the person with the country in the form of citizenship. Citizenship is governed by the Citizenship Act, as we have studied. Now, why there is so much furor about passport? Because passport is issued after a lot of verification. Your residency verification, you need a lot of documents to provide support in if you want to get passport from India. Plus, it is internationally accepted that if India has given you passport, you are a legal citizen of India. That's why it is considered as one of the most strongest evidence of citizenship. You compare this with the Aadhaar, PAN and other documents as such. Thus, it also enables travels abroad and does not, however, the recent statement said that it does not create citizenship. Now, what does it mean? It is because why there is a conflict. The conflict is largely due to the Section 20 of Passports Act. Now, what is Section 20 of Passports Act? Section 20 of this act clearly gives mandate to the central government that the passport can be issued even to non-citizens in the specific circumstances. Now, what can be these circumstances? If these circumstances are required to fulfill certain public interest or it suits the public interest. And MEA has given certain examples that when MEA can issue passport to non-citizens. For example, some person has come to India from a country and now that country no longer exists. That means that person now is a stateless person. Now he cannot remain in India throughout his life or her life. He might or she might want to go outside. In that case, India will have to give some emergency travel document similar to passport. Second is on the basis of humanitarian purposes. If any refugees are coming to India and if they want to exit India, go somewhere outside, they do not have any kind of valid travel document, in that case, passport can be given to them. So passport is given to people who are not even Indian citizenship, that Indian citizen, and that is why it cannot be considered as an absolute proof of citizenship. So special cases, stateless person case, Tibetan refugees, we can take an example. They are coming from Tibet, they do not have any document, passport as such issued by China or Tibet, so they might be granted Indian passport. Sri Lankan Tamil refugees in many cases have been granted Indian passport. Madras High Court also has supported this particular decision of government in these regards, and that is why humanitarian exception creates this hurdle that why passport cannot be considered as a document of citizenry. And now this is not something that only followed by India. It is followed by many countries across the world, such as United Kingdom follows similar approach, USA also follows similar approach. The only difference is that in these countries, the certificate that clearly explains citizenship is given, and almost all people have such kind of certificate as such, especially for naturalized person. And passport is only issued after the citizenship is determined. Now, this is a very important point to understand that passport is not proof of citizenship. First, your citizenship is verified. Once it is clear that yes, you are a citizen of India or citizen of a particular country, then passport is issued to you. So this is the kind of chronology that is being followed internationally as well. Now, what has been the overall perspective of judiciary or the courts in India as far as this matter is concerned? So they also agree that passport is a strong evidence that you are a citizen, but not a conclusive proof that you are a citizen, right? Not conclusive proof. Courts examine eligibility on various bases. For example, what is the status of birth? Where were you born? What is your domicile status? What is your parentage? Were your parent illegal migrant or legal citizen of India? So, based on all these facts, when it is examined, it is the facts that prevail rather just having a passport as a document. And if you look at the two major rulings that has been passed by court in the recent year, one is from Sarbanand Sonowal versus Supreme Court of India versus Government Union of India and Supreme Court 2005. Their Supreme Court clearly took a stand that the burden of proving citizenship rests on the person claiming it. It is a very important ruling. That means if government of India disputes that you are not a legal citizen of India, you are not a valid citizen of India, and if you go to the court, in that case, it is not the government who will have to prove that they are right. It is you who have to prove conclusively that you are a citizen of India. So that is the important ruling. Next is the Abdul Khadir versus the state of Andhra Pradesh. There we have seen in 1962, passport as evidence of nationality. That is what the High Court has stated at time, but examined constitutional criteria such as birth, domicile, and migration history before determining citizenship. So even judicial rulings are very clear that just by holding passport, you do not automatically become citizen of India. Your circumstances have to be clearly studied in the case of dispute, and based on the facts, then decision will be taken. Now, what is the major challenge in India? The problem is that compared to countries such as UK, US, another developed country, India does not have any universal citizenship certificate. That means if you have this certificate, there is no doubt it is a conclusive proof of your citizenry. You will not have to prove anything into anyone as such. Birth citizen many times lack certificate. It is in the recent years we have seen that almost all the births are being registered, and in the decades before, if you go in the rural areas specifically, registration of birth is something that was not done very regularly. So many people who were born in India, whose parents are Indian, maybe it's possible that parents themselves do not have birth certificate, and children also do not have birth certificate. So it becomes complex task to ascertain their citizenry. Next is naturalized citizens receive certificate, so they will not have any issue as such. Multiple records is what government rely upon when it examines the validity of the citizenship, and these all creates a extent or some extent of legal uncertainty. Now, in this regard, in 2003, during the Vajpayee government, citizenship rules were given, where the decision was taken that a national register would be created at an all India basis. Identity cards were planned also, that based on the national registration, if you are classified as citizen of India, there is no doubt about it, you would be given an identity card that would serve as a valid proof of citizenship. Nationwide rollout, however, was not carried out because it is a humongous task, and recently in Assam, this particular national register of citizenship was implemented, but several lessons we have to learn from this as well if in the future you want to implement it at all India basis. First is, there were documentary inconsistencies, there were spelling mismatches, there was difficulty in ascertaining the linkages of a particular individual with the families, whether the family was illegal migrant, legal migrant, whether the family members were Indian citizen itself. And because of all these challenges, it is believed that 19 lakh persons got excluded. They were not able to become part of national list of citizens, even when they had some proof of Indian citizenry. Documentation challenges were humongous, and this is a lesson that we have to learn from the Assam this NRC as such. So unless until we remove the shortcomings, we basically we can say we fill the gaps that we have, lacunas that we have in this entire process, we cannot roll out this entire scheme at nationwide basis. We have to basically make our system more robust in nature. So that's all about this particular video. I hope you got the idea behind the dispute related to the passport and its proof as a citizenship. Thank you very much.